You dumb. You stupid pieces of shit. You kicked him out once, and you couldn't give it to us again. I didn't ask for this dumbass to be back again.
Cole, that last one was over 30 seconds. That one counts. Mom, you're allowed to grab one.
Hi again. It's Ami from the Welcome to Wonderland podcast. This Thanksgiving, make a statement with ZJZ Designs' brand new Thanksgiving Day prints. Whether you're hosting the family feast or just want to show your festive spirit, they've got the perfect design to make your holiday memorable. Introducing Tommy the Turkey. He's fun, he's festive, and he's the star of their latest collection. From playful tees to cozy long sleeves, Tommy will keep you looking stylish as you carve the turkey or sit back and enjoy the pie. And that's not all. Their Thanksgiving prints feature a variety of unique designs that capture the warmth and joy of the season, perfect for yourself or as a gift for a loved one. Shop now at zjzdesigns.com and bring a little extra cheer to your Thanksgiving.
The All About Nothing podcast may have language and content
that isn't appropriate for some.
Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome, Nothingers, to another episode of the All About Nothing podcast. This is episode number 232. I am Barrett Gruber.
I'm Zach King.
Welcome, Zach. Hope you're having a good week. Real quick, want to thank Winnie Tata last week for being on the show with us. I had a really good time, Zach. I hope you did.
I did. Winnie was an excellent guest. We had a great time.
She's been really good about promoting the show and telling people she was on. So hopefully she's driving some of that traffic towards us. If you want to check out, you can check out the books that she's authored. They are fantasy books. I still have not read them because it's only been a week. But you can check out Wynn's Books blog, or you can check out winsbookspublishing.com. Those are the two places you can check out all of what she's doing. They have a poetry contest that they're going to be doing here in the next month or so. And they're looking for submissions, so check that out. Also want to mention ZJZ Designs again. You can check out their latest Christmas line of t-shirts, sweatshirts, and other gift ideas featuring Eddie the Elf. Again, that is my mom's company, so be kind and buy lots of shirts. Her Social Security may run out one day. Everplay Sports and Social is also signing up right now. Tuesday bowling at Bolero in Casey. Registration ends on December 19th, so go do that. Everplaysocial.com. All right, we're going to get to this episode. You obviously see, if you're watching us on YouTube, two very special guests. We are introducing you, and we are thrilled to introduce Cole and his mother, Lori King of Missouri. Near St. Louis, so we'll hold the applause on that because St. Louis does house. Well, I guess the Cardinals are still in St. Louis, right? And,
yes.
St. Louis. It's not the St. Louis Rams anymore.
Nope.
That's
a sore subject.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
So, if you were to say you're a Rams fan around here, there would probably be a lot of violence.
So I want to introduce you guys because I was introduced to Cole by happening to scroll across TikTok, and when I came across Cole, he was doing predictions for the election, and really got my hopes up because a lot of what you were saying on TikTok, Cole, was the same things I was saying. I was telling Zach for months. I said the amount of support, even for Biden, the amount of support that Harris was getting financially, the fact that we were seeing these huge rallies, we had so many people out with signs, like even here in South Carolina, we had a large increase in the number of participants that were doing canvassing for Harris, that were doing canvassing for down ballot candidates. Like it was exciting to see it. I had not seen it since Obama in 2008. So Cole, in case you're wondering, because Cole is 13 years old, Obama was 14. Oh, you're 14 now. Mm-hmm. Well, congratulations. Obama was a president that was elected in 2008. And for a lot of people that are that much younger than me, I have to describe that there was a time when we had double zeros in the numbers as
we used to have a president
go.
Who could speak.
Yeah.
Yes. And boy, could he speak.
That's right.
Oh,
Yeah, I've told him lots of stories about those days. And I said, her campaign felt like Obama in 08.
It
I
did,
was
for
so
sure.
energized. I still have my yard sign from Obama. I gave it to Cole.
Mhm.
Oh,
It was
really?
the
Nah, that's
plastic
awesome.
One that you put down.
No, I
on
think
the
it's
stakes.
still down over here.
I have the newspaper articles that were done when Obama won the presidency. So when he became president-elect, and I have the news articles from his inauguration and like the pictures, which are obviously very easy to compare the inaugurations of
Yes.
Trump and Obama.
Yeah.
But you know, like it was just very exciting.
I have memories of getting yelled at when I told my family that I voted for Obama.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think there's a few people that have those memories.
Yeah.
But oh gosh, I really felt like the vibe felt very similar
Yeah.
to that, and I had
It
missed
did.
that because that was exciting.
Yeah. We did. We'll get this out of the way first, because ultimately this is probably the most sore subject of what we'll get into. You all did a shout out for us on TikTok because the Missouri Tigers lost to the Gamecocks this weekend. Cole, do you have anything you want to say in respect to what was? And I said this. I told Lori earlier. This was one of the best games I've watched in several years.
It was a very good game.
To be honest, I didn't watch a
He
lot.
went downstairs. Yeah.
Yeah, but then I saw that I remember seeing the clip at the end of the second quarter where Brady Cook like bobbled the ball out, and then I believe they did very well in like the third, fourth quarter. But then the Gamecocks obviously kind of took the lead.
I think between the two teams, I think Lenore Sellers and Brady Cook both have futures in the NFL. I think they are both bound to be talented.
I remember Drew Lock, and I just kept going, Drew Lock should be in the NFL. That dude was amazing too.
Yeah.
It just ended up we had enough time on the clock because there were some things Eli Dorkowitz could have done, but he didn't, and I'm very glad he didn't. So it took a 15-yard run from a grown man to make it happen, and I was very, very happy because it's been 5 years. I don't like losing to any Tigers, much less for 5 years, which we had to do with Clemson as well. So
there's a lot of Tigers in the Southeast.
Yeah.
and I don't like any of them. Auburn,
Yeah.
Clemson, Missouri.
Yeah. Yeah. He knew it went south when he heard his dad yelling.
Yeah,
And I knew that too. Yeah.
Well, I feel for him, but it was just we were due. Next year is going to be. It's never a simple game between South Carolina and Missouri.
No.
Yeah.
2013 is one that rings. I think that game went until midnight. It was 3 overtimes, 4 overtimes. That was It's never easy. They came in here and they're like, "Let's battle over Columbia." I'm like, "Let's not." I don't. No.
Well, if you notice, Zach invited a friend over his shoulder to join us on the podcast.
So
Well, he's always here for one, but he's usually further back. So,
you scooted him up just so.
and also I am blocking the armada of diapers that have for our twins.
Yeah.
My office is getting taken over, so I'll get closer and closer to the screen as these episodes progress. Yeah,
That's
I'm running
great.
out of room.
You're going to need those soon. So.
Well, like I said, so finding you publishing videos with Cole doing the prognostication of the election, I was immediately drawn to it because my children at 10 aren't remotely interested in politics, and they have to hear me bicker with my father-in-law over things. But for you, Cole, what was the thing that actually what was it that sparked your interest in the politics?
So, when I was 5, I learned all the presidents. And then so she did, I was pretty invested in that. And I knew, the facts about them, their birth dates and their death dates. And then I kind of got invested kind of more into the election side when she kind of did volunteer work around in our community.
Yeah. What sort of volunteer work were you doing, Lori?
So I sat on the Democratic Central Committee for my township in Arnold, and then I revived, we live in the northern part of our county, so I helped revive the club for up here.
Okay.
And then I volunteered on several campaigns. And in Missouri, that ends very painfully, usually.
I feel that.
So before this election, I had resigned from my seat. my mom has Parkinson's, so I moved her up closer to me. And so I had resigned from my seat and kind of backed off a little bit. And I'm actually glad that I had backed off a little bit, because what just happened was a lot for me emotionally. And I'm like, I'm glad I wasn't dealing with that on a local level. I mean, I was invested as much as I could be. I was donating and supporting candidates here, but I wasn't actually out there volunteering, working events. And I did that for after 16. I did it a lot and I enjoyed it, but it also was not always easy. So
and it's good too, because you meet a lot of new people too.
Yeah, he enjoyed it because he got to meet people, and then he's so data driven, so he would start looking at things and then say things at meetings, and they're like, wow, this information could be really valuable to campaigns, so yeah.
Well, and I look at it this way, like Cole is, you're actively trying to be a part of something that you can't even really participate in yet, because the voting age is 18. But like I have a 19-year-old stepson who has zero interest in it. And I wanted to force him. I really wanted to force him to go vote.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things. It's like with the people that didn't turn out to vote in this election. It's how do you communicate the importance of it?
Yeah.
From your perspective, Cole, like what is something that you would try to tell someone who has recently come of age that may not have, like, what is it about it that inspires you to say, this is something that I want to be a part of. This is why you should want to be a part of it.
I think more people should definitely be a part of it, because this is what affects your daily lives.
Yeah.
I mean, like what you were talking about with your mom with Social Security, that's like a part of politics. Like it all comes to politics.
Yeah. No, you're not.
Absolutely.
You're not wrong at all.
But
Let me answer this real quick.
Yeah, people just don't realize it. People just don't realize it. So we have to do a better job of getting people to actually think it's worth it to come out and vote.
Yeah.
I think being data driven is very important. And Barrett and I work in data driven, fields. Data doesn't usually lie if it's true data. And it feels like this is a kind of election, just like 2016 was, where people feeling some type of way and not adhering to the data. What would you say to somebody who ignores data and chooses to go with gut feeling?
You can do that, but I mean, you're more probably likely to be wrong. I mean, for example, like in some of the predictions, some people had Kansas like safe red. I had it likely red because it had been trending towards the Democrats. They've been closely shrinking the margin in that state because of kind of the Kansas City suburbs and like Wichita and that area.
Mm-hmm.
That's and then a lot of that has to do with the fact that the populations in these cities are growing, and typically when you have population growth, you generally that's people coming from outside, and those populations tend to lean a little bit more progressive or liberal, because we're smart enough to move into places and take advantage of the new taxes and lower taxes and things like that. I'm not saying smarter. I am sorry. That's not what I meant. What I meant was
smart enough.
recognizing the impact. In 2000, when I moved here to South Carolina, I knew Lexington was the county I wanted to live in, because if I owned property here, I was paying half of what I'd be paying in Richland County.
Right.
It's, and I've tried to build a little progressive network that expands out slowly, but we're trying.
It expands out. It expands from like Rock Hill to Greenwood to like it.
Is it a small?
Yeah. But it's like the seeds are planted in really far away from Lexington County.
Yeah. We have a friend that hosts a podcast with a friend of ours named Bill Kimler, who hosts a podcast with another candidate named Dr. Jamil Brooks. They host a podcast called Black, White, and Blue in the South. And the way they open their show is a little blue dot in a big red state, or I probably got that wrong, but that's paraphrasing. That's the idea.
Yeah.
And we do have small areas that are usually centered closer to some of the towns and things like that you will find more people willing to be progressive.
Yep.
I want to go back real quick, Cole. Do you still know all of the presidents?
Yeah, I do.
Just hit him with a random number.
Okay. Number 7.
Andrew Jackson.
Holy cow. Okay. Number 32.
That's what I was gonna say.
FDR.
That is amazing.
Mhm.
We've had what?
All
50?
right, hold on. Let me get one in. 11.
James K. Polk.
Once he has the information, it doesn't go away.
All right. President, the I want to say the 23rd president's date of death.
I don't know the birth.
Oh, okay.
He doesn't know those anymore. He did.
I did.
He was about 5 or 6, and he came to me one day, and he was drawing pieces of paper, and I'm like, "What's that?" And he's like, "Birth date and death date." And I was like, "Oh."
I think that's amazing. Because look, one of the things that I am beginning to recognize just in daily conversations with not necessarily people I work with, because I don't want them to think I'm judging them, but
Yeah.
silently, they can't identify some of the countries that are either in Central America versus South America.
Yeah.
Or what a continent versus a country.
Yeah.
And he
These-
can. I mean, he's very much like that with geography. Like, he can show you a map or a globe and tell you where country, what he can tell me about countries I've never heard of, And so, but that kind of goes back to the thing, the suppression of teaching history that we're seeing. So Cole, a lot
absolutely.
of times when he's talking about present day politics and stuff that's going on, he can correlate it to stuff that happened in history because he has so much knowledge about previous administrations.
Yeah.
You don't see that a lot either, but it is pertinent. Like, he can say, hey, this happened before. Like he told me the other day, there was another president.
Trump is the second president to have served non-consecutive terms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Who was the first president?
Grover Cleveland.
It was Cleveland. Yeah. And I also, I think, was it last week, Zach, that I mentioned the fact that that the last president, or the last time that someone won in a lower voter turnout like this just happened to be in 1939 when Hitler got to take office.
Oh.
There was a huge drop off in the number of people that turned out to vote, and that is what eventually led to Hitler becoming chancellor. So it's it's weird. It's those sorts of things that in history tend to kind of repeat themselves.
Yeah. And
you're good.
Well, not to get stuck on the data, but going back to the data, and we were talking about the importance of going off data and feelings. That was the tough one about this particular election, because what we saw play out did not match the data.
Yeah.
Like, obviously it was horrible because he thought she was going to win. I thought she was going to win, and we had so many, we went viral. We had so many people saying, oh, he's biased or he's brainwashed. And I'm thinking, no, he's using data.
Mm-hmm.
But what happened didn't match the data.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A lot of
And
those.
there's a lot of caveats and things like that happened because people didn't turn out as we expected.
Yes.
Yeah. And that skews data. So when you're going off of, expected things, it's you're like, okay, the data that we were working off of is now not perfect. But had we had the amount of voters show up like they did for 2020, it would have been a different story.
We saw a reduction of about 14 million people not vote.
Crazy. That's insane.
You've looked at the numbers some more.
I've looked at out of some of the states, there's only been 2, turnout was down in Texas and stuff and other states like that, but turnout was actually up in Oklahoma and South Carolina.
Well, and yeah, and like I was doing videos about the turnout in South Carolina. I mean, when we hit 1.5 million people that early voted in South Carolina, it was that we've never seen anything like that. It was. I mean, it gave us. So I was a campaign manager for a gentleman named Matt Villardo out of Fort Mill, and and I was looking at the numbers for the early precinct voting sites like every single day. Every time a report came out, I'd go out there and look at it, and then I'd post on the campaign page saying, "Hey, look at this. We're seeing the huge turnout." And in the end, we did lose, but we saw almost 3,000 more votes in this election than we did in 2022 when he ran. And South Carolina still hasn't released the actual numbers as far as who pushed, the party line versus actually voted for the candidates. But I look at if our opponent won the seat because everyone went in and voted the party line, to me, that's not a vote for him. That's just a vote. That's just a vote of incompetence. You just went in there and selected who you always select.
Yeah.
But from our perspective, we're still getting messages from people that said, I was a Republican all my life and I switched line. I crossed the line to vote for you. Yep. And I think that had a lot to do with the impact of Matt himself and just his forward motion, just the constant drone of being in places where they're visible, talking to community leaders, talking to the people in the community, door knock. I mean, we canvassed for 2.5, 3 months before the election. I mean, there was a lot of work, and no one could look at our opponent's election. And I will say this, and Matt will probably not agree with me in public, but the amount of work that Matt did should have gotten him elected over his opponent who did no work.
Yeah.
Not a drop of sweat. Yeah.
Yes, that happens here too. 2 years ago, we helped a campaign against this one lady, and once she won the Republican primary, she did absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Didn't even deserve the seat.
Well, and they feel so confident here. I don't know if it's like that for you guys in South Carolina, but in Missouri, it is a vote down the party line. Yep. It's not because we continually pass progressive ballot initiatives every election. And then we vote in straight down the line all the people that are against those things and that work to dismantle them. Yeah. So, it shouldn't make sense.
Yeah. You almost want to slap people in the face with facts and say, hey, you realize the entire state just voted to legalize abortion, and everyone you elected is going to go in and try and undermine that. Yeah. So they're wasting they're wasting your time and money in trying to overdo something you've already said is a necessity.
Yeah.
I don't understand that. South Carolina has been in Republican control since late 90s, and our state in South Carolina has continued to go down to number 4 in education now. Our infrastructure is one of the worst in the Southeast as far as just crumbling roads and bridges. Yeah, everybody sees the construction going on. They're like, oh, this is great. We're doing construction to improve the roads. Yeah, but everyone that bids on these construction and winds up getting the contracts for them, they're 17, 18 weeks overdue on completion of the work. And they're also $15 to $20 billion over on budget. So, we're not improving anything. We're just increasing the amount of debt that the state is having to operate in.
And the Republican Party, especially in southern states, it is the fat cat, good old boy system, right?
Oh,
that's all it is. And it's everyone's scratching everyone's back, and let's keep what has been going. Yeah. And I think that's the most annoying part.
They don't need to get out there and do the work, because they are confident, and it's very much like that here. They're confident we're going to retain our seat. They're going to vote straight down the party line. So
that's why we need to take Russell Ott. People like Russell Ott, put him in a jar, send him to a lab, and figure out how are you changing people's minds? What is it that Russ does that is speaking to both sides? Because if we can bottle that and sell it, it'd be really nice. Good ideas, and you're speaking to both people. And just to go back to the voting down party lines, those 2 buttons need to be taken off all voting machines.
I
Make
agree.
people
It's-
use their brain.
Yeah.
Go, oh, you don't know who they are? Then you're an uneducated voter. You're
I don't think
ill-informed.
I don't know if we have like an option where you can just vote
Straight party line.
Yeah,
We do.
Yeah.
I think I know some states do.
In South Carolina, the Republicans are even trying to allow for positions like school board to be partisan,
Yeah.
so that the school boards will have only Republicans on them.
Yeah.
Like they're that desperate for the control.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
We've seen that here. I mean, I think that's just kind of been something that's across the board, that we've seen that in education here. The school
Yeah.
board races have been, I've volunteered on a few of those too, and it's not like it used to be.
Zach,
Well-
what were you going to say?
Well, our friend of the podcast, Richland County Sheriff Leon Lott, he's a Democratic sheriff, and you vote down party lines. And I know people who voted for Trump, but also were like, I will cross the boundary to vote for Sheriff Leon Lott because he's such a good guy.
Yeah.
So there are people who are Republican and who aren't voting down the party line enough to that he won this election
Yeah.
Yeah,
to become sheriff again. But I'm just like, how many more could you get if you just remove that button? And
Yeah.
they would be like, oh, Leon, of course. Like,
Yeah.
why not?
So this is the hard question, because I know how it impacted you, but a lot of the people that listen and watch our podcast, they probably don't. How did Cole, for you? What was the outcome of the election like for you?
it was just terrible because like you are so confident that she's gonna win this thing, and that we're gonna kick out this fascist piece of garbage. But yeah, I have to listen to him for 4 years and let him do stupid stuff.
Yeah.
That sounded 4-letter, but it wasn't. It was
It
Yeah, I know.
wasn't for a letter. That was strong, but he's not,
He's
and
completely right.
again, it not to interject or talked over him, but it's like you get this like, yeah, you're going to have the values that your parents teach you, but I wouldn't allow him to say things like that if I didn't know he was so well versed
Yeah.
Sure.
in
Well,
what he's talking about. He knows what he's talking about. It's not just rhetoric because he hears me angry.
It's evident that
Yeah.
he knows. Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
Yeah.
just from my experience with my children, like one of my daughters, I don't know how she got into seeing videos about Trump and such, but like she came to us with genuine concerns about Project 2025, and I'm looking at my 10-year-old and saying, how do you know about these things? And she said, well, they're some of the influencers on YouTube and such. They're talking a lot about it, and I said, well, what is it that they're saying that has you? What is it they're saying that's created an emotional response for you? And she said, well, it sounds like they don't want women to have the ability to own property. And I said, yeah, that's a concern. And she said, and something about, I don't know, what do they mean by credit? And I said, well, essentially being able to be given a loan to potentially buy property or invest in a business.
Right.
And so I'm explaining these things to her. And she goes, well, why would they want to take that away? And I said, because it's all about control.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with, some of it's because they don't respect the fact that, and I'll just say this because I have daughters, that women are generally more intelligent and more ethical in their decisions that impact themselves, their family, and their community.
Yeah.
And men typically, especially white Southern
Women pay attention to
Republicans-
detail. That's
Yeah.
why I like having a woman doctor. I'm like,
Yeah.
just pay attention. Look at me.
Yeah.
Tell me.
I
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
my general practitioner, and it's funny Zach mentioned that. So I've always had men as my general practitioner up until about 4 years ago when mine retired, and when he recommended who to go to, Dr. Baskett's here in Lexington,
Yeah.
and I have never felt more comfortable
Yeah.
telling her what's going on with me than I thought I would be.
Yeah.
Because
Because you felt like she was listening.
yeah.
Absolutely.
I also think a lot of it's the power dynamic. It's really hard. And some men aren't going to outright admit that, but I think we saw that in this election. It's really hard to admit she might be smarter and more powerful. And, we heard these tropes about how she got that way, which were just ridiculous. You're insulting every woman that has ever worked hard at anything when you're talking about a woman in power like that. You just don't accomplish the things that she accomplished by being dumb.
Yeah.
Disagree on policy, not that someone, slept their way to the top or, it's just not.
Yeah.
And they Republicans carry the broadest brush there is in the whole basket, right? So they're going to paint anything they want as much as they can, as big and fat, whether it's true or not. They don't care. Yeah. I mean, it came to a head for me how bad this is going to be when Matt Gaetz was appointed.
Yeah,
you're just like the most punchable face in all of America.
In all of America, yeah.
Well, he might not make it through though.
I don't think he's going to.
Yes, that is the silver lining in the whole thing.
But I mean, the rest of them have not been any better, and now we've got the wrestling lady for the Department of Education.
Oh, I saw that. It's what do you have to do with education?
Before y'all got on, Barrett was like, "You saw that?" And I was like, "The lady who was literally wrestling," and he was like, "Yeah," and I was like, "Dude, I thought that was somebody who was just clipping stuff."
No.
I want to think that we're just being trolled. Yeah. Like I want to think that these are all just sort of like Trump's just trying to see how far he can push the line. Here's the corpse of Ronald Reagan. He's going to be our Secretary of Commerce or something like that. And it's like that's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for him to announce that
Vince McMahon is now Speaker of the House. So it's going to be great.
I mean, we've got Dr. Oz. We might get Dr. Phil next.
Well, I don't know if you saw Dr. Phil has taken back his endorsement of Trump.
Oh, I did not know that.
It happened about 2 days ago.
Oh.
He wrote a letter and apparently has said some things publicly that he has come to, and I think it's mostly based on the endorsement of the cabinet.
He would just say, "You got to go lick that calf again, okay?" I think
That's perfect. That is a perfect Dr. Phil.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Little too late to withdraw your endorsement,
Yeah.
Damage is done, as they say. Just go to Dr. Phil.
Yeah.
That's where the FAFO comes in, because this is and one of the things that I keep telling people as far as that are gloating over the election is I say the same thing. I'm glad you got what you wanted. I hope you want what you get.
Yes.
Because for the most part, I don't know anybody that's super rich. I don't have friends that are driving Lamborghinis and things like that. Yeah. That a bad coming economy would potentially affect them in a negative way. But I do know plenty of people.
My Lamborghini is coming tomorrow. Let me look.
Are you
not out there
yet. Or put the diapers in it?
Yeah. The babies have to ride on the hood. It's just what it is.
That's where you store the.
I'm not an animal. I got a plexiglass windscreen.
Good.
So
there you go.
Yeah,
it'll be great.
But for most of the people I know, they do their grocery shopping at Walmart. They buy their Christmas gifts from Target and Walmart and things like that. And the potential is this time next year, if things like 2,000% or 100% tariffs get enforced, that we're all going to be paying a lot more just for the things that we're paying for now. And I don't want that to happen. But if it does, then my only retort is to say, well, this is what he said he was going to do these things, and this is what you wanted.
Yeah.
How about most of the Republican Party understanding how tariffs work, except for Donald Trump, but they still support his tariffs?
They still support it. Yeah, it's such a disconnect from. But
also,
go ahead. Sorry, Ben.
On tariffs, they all these Republicans like Trump and Vance, I'm populist. I'm this populist. It's like, okay, stop. Some people can't see it, but it's like for us, you're not a populist.
No.
You're worth millions of dollars or billions of dollars.
Exactly.
You're not a populist.
Exactly. That does not make you a man of the people. That makes you a man that oversees the people.
Yeah, right.
You're exactly correct.
And then he creates a department for Elon Musk, who's a complete dipshit.
Villain.
Like,
He's like a super villain.
Like
He
tried
is a
to
villain.
block the
we
Infowars.
got the darkest timeline Tony Stark. Like, he
Yeah.
just sit, like, we're
Yeah.
like, you're not even Iron Man cool. You're just here jumping
Yeah.
around going
Yeah.
like, I'm Dark MAGA.
He's like a Scooby Doo villain.
He's a Scooby-Doo villain.
Like,
Pull his mask off. You're just Marjorie Taylor Greene.
And I would have gotten away with it if it weren't for those meddling kids.
right. Yes. Yes.
I'm hoping that's the outcome. I'm hoping it's the meddling kids that take Elon Musk
Right.
down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Obviously, predicting election outcomes can draw a lot of attention, both positive and negative. Lori, I will commend you on how you have protected Cole from a lot of that, because my immediate just because I feel like, and I hate this about me, and Zach can tell you, but I feel like I'm the smartest person in the room. And when someone comes at me with something negative, I generally respond to them with a calm but subtle jab at the fact that their parents are probably related closer than they should be. So
Mine, I just take my shirt off and start yelling like a howler monkey.
I think that's the way to do it.
how just so everyone knows, you made the decision that you all would go private, at least for a little while,
Yeah.
to protect and I see it not just to protecting Cole, but you're also protecting yourself.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There are still some bugs in the system, though, aren't there?
Yeah. So it's we didn't expect that video to go viral. So the
Sure.
first video that we put up, well, we had put up a couple, but then one day, like 30 days from the election,
Yeah.
he did one and it went like 500,000 views. And so it just kind of took off from there. And then they're asking questions and he loved it. I mean, he was enjoying it. But then when the comments started coming in, it was hard. It was hard for me to read. It was hard for me to hear adults, sure, some of it's bots, but a lot of it was real people say, insulting your child for doing something he's passionate about.
Yeah.
And I will say there were some Republicans that are like, hey, we're not on the same side, but I commend him, or, he's a smart kid, or he's wrong, but he's a smart kid. But that was few and far between. It was either that weirdo or, insults, some variation, or my favorite.
People who took the door off the microwave and watched their food cook.
Right. Well, my favorite are these repeated, and I think we've seen that through all the years of Trump, is just the all caps and either a train or hearts and Trump 2024. And to me, that is such an odd behavior also. And that's only happened since him, because do you walk down the street screaming that? I mean, what is the point? It's like you want to make somebody feel bad. Like, is that what you set out to do? Like, do you want to make a 14-year-old feel bad? And how does that make them feel good? I'll never understand that. And so when things went the way they did, election night, he went live. I could see on his face as soon as it started to go. And I know the people watching could too. I knew the next morning there would be comments, but there was people that had just followed to come back and say gloat. And so I immediately, started deleting and then I'm like, I just got to put this private. We're a mess.
Kind of the only reason we put it private is like all they want to do is gloat. It's like, get it on with your life, loser.
Yeah.
And to them, they're disassociated. You aren't real people to them, so they're going to come back and just say it to the internet, and they don't have any kind of repercussion for what they're doing.
Oh yeah,
and
100%
unintelligent. That's all it is. It's stupid people.
See,
and I hate they had to deal with that.
And on some of the stuff that we posted, I'd get comments like, why is this fat, whatever, and I'd respond back. I was like, you can only see my head. Is it that big? And then somebody else would say something, and I'd be like, oh well, you nailed that. So I moved into I'm just going to see if I can use some of this as inspiration for comedy, because comedy is time plus tragedy, and obviously this is tragic,
Yeah.
but I you know, like somebody would say something, and I'm like, oh well, you nailed that one, good job. I'm sure your grandparents are proud of you. You know,
There was one that was really funny. It was like, how could such a smart kid vote blue?
Yeah, and we were
Right.
like, no, he can't vote. One, yeah, but
I can't even vote. There was like 4 that said, don't miss the day job. I don't work a day job.
no, you know,
This is his day job.
Yeah. Well, at first I was like, oh, let's delete these so Cole doesn't read them and get his feelings hurt. And then I started leaving them and letting him read them and delete them, because he started getting a kick out of some of them, because they were just silly stuff like that, you know. But also the ones insulting is intelligent. Like, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, actually, he does.
yeah.
You don't want to believe that.
Like, and that's the thing. Like, you literally had the tablet showing the data and the information, and
Yes.
and why it was going the direction it was from
Yes.
what we perceived from the data. And that's one of those things that, like, when I get a comment like that, or they tell me, they say something having to do with whatever emotion they're feeling with it,
Mhm.
I'll ask them. I said, just I am perfectly willing to acknowledge your answer or what it is that you're saying if you can cite me the sources, and
Yes.
I will go look them up. And
They just hiss and run to the darkness like, information, no.
yeah, 100% of the time, I have
Yeah.
100% of the time, I've never been cited any sources.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that is the point at which they abandon any attempt at having like a rational conversation.
Make it up as you go. That's what they do.
Yeah, I don't
They had
know
a very
many-
hard time in AP language and stuff. Like, it's
Yeah.
cite your sources when you write your paper. They're like, what? Wow.
I
And
don't-
honestly, he would be very capable of having a conversation with someone on the other side if it was a good faith argument.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. That's one of the things, like on this podcast, I
Yeah.
have invited Republicans to come onto this show to have a good faith conversation about why it is they believe what they believe. But I think for
How
the
many have we
substance,
had, Barrett?
we've had 0.
Yeah.
And a lot of that's because I know that they know we are going to ask questions that they're going to have to supply us with actual answers. And, you know, I mean, even Republicans that I'm friendly with, Senator, she just got voted out because she was one of the five sister senators that filibustered against the abortion ban here in South Carolina. And she got primaried because people didn't like the fact that she was trying to stand against the idea of abortion, and not enough people turned out to vote for her. It's not that she didn't lose because the other guy won. She lost because not enough people turned out. And ultimately, Katrina Shealy, my current senator to be previous senator, is an outstanding citizen, and I still commend what she did, even though we don't agree on everything.
Right.
She was always available.
Yeah.
If you called her office, you would get a response.
Yeah.
And it wasn't canned. It was a response to you about what you were calling about.
Yeah.
Those are the type. And again, it was a woman. You know, this is it goes back to that idea that that there is a just a sense of devotion to the people in your community, and our men don't seem to have that, at least on the other side.
No.
How big of, and Cole, this is for you, how big of a role did your family play in encouraging you as far as you know, investing your time and heart into the election?
She encouraged me very much. I mean, like, letting me film the video and put it on her TikTok. I mean, that's very encouraging right there. And I also think, like, instead of like those comments that just saying, "Oh, he's dumb," she told me I was smart and I knew this stuff.
Yeah.
Instead of those comments.
Yeah.
Cole, I will speak for Zach and I. If anybody comes after you, we'll fly to Missouri. We'll probably go check out a Chiefs game first, but we've got your back. Well, we'll stand in front. We will
I'll
not
power
let
bomb
any.
somebody. I don't
Yeah.
even care.
Casey's a little west, but okay.
All right, we'll go to a Mizzou game. South Carolina plays a Mizzou.
We'll get lost, and then we'll have to take an
Right.
Uber to where you guys are, and
Yeah.
we'll figure
Yeah.
it out.
Yeah.
We'll meet at the Waffle. We'll meet at the Waffle House.
Yeah.
There's
Just
got to be a
to
say
Waffle
we
House
have
there,
Waffle
right?
House.
Yeah.
There's
We
Waffle
have
Houses
Waffle House.
everywhere.
As long as you don't end
Okay.
up in Tijuana.
Yeah. Or apparently the Ozarks, which is
Right.
the Tijuana of Missouri and
Of
Arkansas.
Missouri.
Did you watch Ozark on Netflix?
I never finished it, but I watched the first 2 seasons.
Yeah,
You didn't.
we do.
What
But
were you
like how we were talking about Waffle House, we do have like a lot of really good local like restaurants here.
Yeah.
Oh,
What I was-
I'm not a heathen like the rest of like even my family and Barrett are. I don't go to Waffle Houses.
I've never been
That's
to one.
asking for
Well,
trouble.
that's a good thing that you've never been to one, because when I've been to one, it's usually been 3
No,
hours.
I've
hold
been
on.
to
He's
one,
not
but
saying he's been to
No,
one.
I've been to them. I choose never to go again. My wife will be like, "They have the best waffles." I was like, "You can take our kid and go get them if you want, or pick them up, do whatever. I won't be joining you
I'm not
because it
going.
is
Yeah.
not a good time."
So one of the things I was hoping for was maybe a video from Cole on the statistics of the Jake Paul Mike Tyson fight. I was really hoping for something in line that would give me some hope that Tyson had a chance. Do you watch any boxing or anything? No. Okay. So
I'm glad you didn't waste your time because it
Yeah.
looked like an old man getting punched by a
Yeah.
younger man while he bit his glove.
Yeah.
it
And at
was-
first I was like, oh, I want Tyson to knock him out because he's a Trump guy. And then Cole's like, I'm pretty sure Tyson's a Trump guy too. I was like, well, then.
yeah,
Not at
yeah.
it, guys.
They're both Trump
Yeah.
voters.
Yeah.
I hope they both lose.
Yeah.
In Tyson's defense, a lot of blows to the head.
Yeah,
Over
right.
a lot, so
Right.
there's a correlation there, I think, between between his political leanings and the number of times he suffered from severe concussions.
Yeah.
Well, if you ever listen to Tyson's podcast, I was kind of like, I don't think this isn't gonna be fun for anybody.
I didn't know he had a podcast.
Yeah.
He does, and he's an insane person.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Everybody has a podcast today.
Oh, you
That's
might need one. So our favorite
They're-
podcast,
Y'all should.
I don't know if you guys are familiar with The Dollop.
Yes.
Oh, the dollop is amazing.
In fact,
Yes.
Zach introduced me to the dollop. What, 8 years ago? When
Yeah.
Wow.
We're fanatics. Yeah.
do you listen to any of the citation? What is it? The puzzle in a thunderstorm. That's the citation needed. The Skeptocrats. They do. Zach, help me out. There's-
D&D minus
yeah.
No,
scathing atheist.
we don't.
Yeah, those are all the they're really good.
Yeah.
The dollop is amazing, and then the co-host, he went off and did one with Jake from New Girl, where they have comedians on and they
Yep.
read the newspaper from the
I
time.
did listen to a few of those.
Oh
and I
my
liked it,
gosh.
but I just,
Yeah.
we just love The Dollop. Yeah.
It's so
That's
good.
fantastic. I want to go see them live. But
Yeah.
It seems like they're always in Adelaide, Australia.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we're ever going to get to listen to.
They did a live here on Phyllis Schlafly. I don't know if you know who she
Oh,
is,
really?
but yeah, that was good. Great. We didn't go, but I listened to
They did
it.
one on John McCain. Everyone always talks nice about John McCain, and that they're like, "Here's the stuff John McCain did," and
Right.
you're just like, "Okay,
Yeah.
all
That's
right."
like I was trying to tell my father-in-law, who is very health conscious when it comes to judging what other people eat. He has a different opinion on RFK Jr. than I have, and he'd say things like, he wants to get rid of all the fast food and stuff like that, and he wants to do this and he wants to do that. And I said, well, yeah, and I understand that, but these are things that are illogical. These are, like this idea of doing away with vaccines. I said, if it weren't for vaccines, you'd have had polio.
Yeah.
And probably measles, and you'd be suffering from not being able to walk or not being able to walk well.
Yeah.
I said these are all things that if it weren't for, the progression of science, that and he'd say something about how RFK Jr. he's done really well with his life. I said he's done well living off of the money that the Kennedys and the
Yes.
Carnegies and whatnot have provided him for all of his life. I said he's never had a job. He's never done anything to better anyone else's life except maybe a few dementiated women who are watching his YouTube videos of him without a shirt on, and they forget which one was RFK.
Yeah.
So
imagine if we had a system for testing hypotheses and ideas, and
like
I don't know, having them vetted and
clinical
It's also
trials.
so-
moving ahead with good ones that pan out.
It's also so ironic, him too. Like, he always was like, "Oh, fast food, it sucks," and then he's on the plane with Trump eating fast food. It's like, okay.
To his credit, he didn't look happy about it, but
That's-
I love that he had to eat it.
That
Trump
is the
was
point
like,
at which
eat my food.
that is the point at which I think
Mac. It's really great.
Trump
Take a
is
bite.
legitimately even trolling the people that are like in his inner circle.
Yeah.
Like, Mike Johnson doesn't eat McDonald's. This
Yeah.
is a guy that this is a caviar guy. You know, like he doesn't live in New Orleans or,
Right.
Well, meanwhile,
Baton Rouge.
Don
He
Jr.
lives in-
grew up on it, so he's holding the thing up, just the happiest
Yeah.
dude. We got McDonald's.
Yeah.
Don Jr.'s just happy to be in the picture. Like,
Yeah.
he's glad he's poor Eric's the one taking the picture. You know?
Oh my God,
That's-
we're taking a picture.
Oh God.
Yeah.
So, looking forward, Cole, do you plan on continuing work with the data and the statistics in the future with elections?
Absolutely. We're gonna continue with that, and we might also do some like extra things, like talking about like some of these like the video we made about gerrymandering. I don't know if you saw that one.
I did.
But yeah, we'll do some more stuff like that, because like, again, not everybody knows about gerrymandering, and it's a big problem. And if we can tell more people about it, we can resist gerrymandering a lot easier.
And
very big problem.
gerrymandering doesn't just it's not that it doesn't just benefit like the I guess the party that does the gerrymandering. It also disenfranchises their own party in other areas.
Yeah.
Like this is it's the most ridiculous, desperate move. And they wind up hurting themselves, or they wind up hurting members of their own party in very adjacent locations.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Well, I'm glad you're going to continue doing it, because like I said,
yeah, we're not going anywhere.
yeah, good. That's
And I know we're about to move on to 7 questions, but I got to tell you, we've talked one of the 2 things you don't talk about at work, politics. And next time you come back, it's religion. Just keep that in.
He is not an expert in that. Sorry.
that's okay. That's okay. For some of us, we believe there's not a chance that there's any experts on it.
Right. Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
So
Yeah. But, I think there is a real talking about how do we get younger people involved. Knowing that
I said, 100%.
but I mean, knowing that the lack of information that people have.
yeah.
Could someone doing just a series of educational stuff, like this is how the electoral college works. This is
You should
what
absolutely
gerrymandering-
keep doing that.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Just put it out there.
Yeah. And if your account is still private, I'm not going to put a link out there for it.
Okay.
But genuinely, if you happen to come across any of our listeners that come across, or if any listeners want to reach out to me and ask me, I am more than happy to supply a link to be able to see Cole's videos, because it is inspiring. I
100%.
I will say, Cole, you at 14 is how I hope that my daughters are at 14.
Thank you.
That you, it's not just the talent, but it's also the confidence that you have in what it is you're doing and how you're expressing it. And as a parent, Lori, I am, between you and your husband, I am so impressed.
Yeah.
And
For sure.
honestly, it has been such a pleasure, and I am so glad that you allowed me to connect with you all.
Yes. Thank you. We
because-
really enjoyed connecting.
It's I want to continue to see I'm excited to see 18-year-old Cole.
Yeah.
and if the day comes that 37-year-old Cole decides he wants to run for president, I will be right there on that trail with you. I will campaign for you.
Listen, when I was 14, I was wondering what's the lethal dose of chicken nuggets. So you guys are well above me.
For Zach, the bar was really, really set low.
I'm 822. You can eat more than that? Hand them over. We didn't have Google. We had the guy down the street who saw someone eat 30 one time. That's
We had door-to-door salesmen selling encyclopedias.
Encyclopedias.
Yeah,
for
we
You know
sure.
what? That may have been when society took a turn.
Yes.
Was when the encyclopedia was no longer being offered every household.
Yeah.
Why do we have so many of the same door stops? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not sure that our current means of information is working out. So,
No, the internet's a pretty skeeving place.
Yeah.
That
There
is
needs
for
to be,
sure.
like regulations on social media because it's just like for example, like a billionaire can just buy it and put whatever they want on it.
Cole, you read my mind. What we need is I'm not in favor of regulating everything that doesn't need regulation, but
Yeah.
there does need to be. We need regulation.
fairness.
Twitter has been the guinea pig on that one. We're like, okay, this isn't okay.
For sure.
Yeah.
Not everything should go.
For sure. All right. Well, we're going to jump into 7 questions. You guys ready?
Yep.
All right. So we'll ask both of you. What was the last thing that you Googled?
What was the last thing I Googled? You're always Googling something. What was the last thing I Googled?
I have no idea what the last thing I Googled was.
Was it the
It's
All
good.
About Nothing podcast?
It might have
typical.
been. What was the last
Did we at
thing
least
I
come up
Googled?
first?
Did we what?
I said, did we at least come up first?
I don't know. What did you Google?
Oh, I was looking at the results in my county.
Oh, okay.
Website.
Shocking. Yeah.
No, I check every single day. I check to see what South Carolina has published as far
Yeah.
as like the breakdown on the
Yeah.
literally on the votes. And
I've been
You
trying to figure out how I can figure how a city voted because it's like a precinct or like a county. How
yeah,
do I find a city? How a city voted?
I think you'd probably wind up having to take the precincts in that
Yeah.
city and then tabulate them together.
Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. I could
I
work.
figured
I could help
that.
you work out with spreadsheet on that if you want.
I think
Barrett
I
loves
got-
the spreadsheets.
I love spreadsheets.
Okay. Yeah. He might need that.
All right. Second question: if you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Hmm.
Superpower.
It'd be time travel or teleportation.
Okay.
Okay.
Teleportation's a very popular one. Time travel's a newer one. I like that.
I don't know if I can top that. Time travel would be pretty awesome.
It's how you use the power. It's not about having the power.
Yeah.
Well,
It's,
and as long as it's not quantum leap time travel, because then you're just stuck like Scott
I
Bakula.
think at this point in history, I would like my superpower to actually be brainwashing.
For sure.
Or it could be like
You would try it on Donald Trump and it didn't work because
That's
there's no brain to wash.
it's working. It's working really well for the Republicans.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
you know,
Yeah, I think I could change some things.
also like another. I just came up with this one. Like wish for anything. So like, yeah.
You already had one. You don't get another
Oh
one.
man, that feels like a cheat code, but I'll take it.
Yeah. Yeah.
all right. Third question: if your life were a movie, what would the title be?
If my life was a movie, what would the title be?
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be a title of a movie that already exists. It can just be a couple of
Anything I
words
make
pieced
up.
together.
Yeah, Barrett's is the exotic marigold hotel.
Oh my God.
First of all,
I don't know if I want to know.
fantastic movie. Like
Oh yeah. Okay.
easily one of the gems of 2015, something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
If I was going to say a movie that I wanted my life to be, it would be Under the Tuscan Sun.
Okay,
I have
we'll
a good
take
idea
that.
for mine.
All right,
A brain of ideas.
A Brain of Ideas.
that's a good title.
There you go.
That's
I
a
like
good
it.
title.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. All right. Fourth question. This is more fun. If you could eat one food for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Pasta.
That's tough. There's so many good foods that I'm gonna have to give up here.
Pasta. Pick one.
I feel like pizza might be the most consistent because, like, I can put really so much on pizza.
Pizza
This is
gives
the
you
best
variety.
answer. This is the best answer.
Pizza gives you variety. That's good.
That's
All
good.
right. The fifth question. What is your least favorite candy and why?
Least favorite candy. And why?
I think I had like Sour Patch Kids once, and I was like, ew.
Yeah,
Okay.
sour now. I would say Skittles because they make my teeth hurt.
Okay. I was
You've
going to
never
say,
had that.
you mentioned Sour Patch Kids, and immediately, like, behind
Starts
where my
salivating a little.
wisdom teeth used to be, like, it immediately starts to, like, cringe. So, yeah, I don't blame you on that. And Skittles get stuck in your teeth, and then, you know, you eat them, you go to the dentist, and your dentist is like, what did you do?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think one time I chewed a chewing gum that had like the little sparkles in it or whatever, like before I went to the dentist, because I never want to go to the dentist. You know,
With
I suffer from a diagnosed case of halitophobia.
yeah.
It's a legitimate fear that my breath smells bad or someone else's does, and I'm going to smell it or I'm going to smell my own.
Yeah.
And so, like, even going to the dentist, I brush before I get a teeth cleaning.
He'll
And-
never know.
And I didn't have time one time, so I chewed some gum and it left the little sparkles in there. And my hygienist, she said, what did you eat before you got here? And I was like, I haven't eaten anything. Like I brushed my teeth this morning, and I went back and I was like, oh, I did chew that gum.
She's
And
like,
that was what
you
it
like
was.
to me, Gruber? Root canal.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, number 6. What is one strange or unusual talent that you have that potentially no one knows?
Strange or unusual talent.
Here's mine.
That is serious.
For those of you
Cole's
on the
probably more likely
on
to have a
the
good one.
for those of you that are listening at
A
home,
brain.
Zach removed his finger in front of a live
Yeah.
audience.
You probably have some brain power that,
Yeah, maybe.
what do you call it? Photographic memory?
Yeah, I guess.
Really?
Photographic memory. What do I have?
so is it photographic or is it what's it? Eidetic.
I don't
So
know. What's the
there
difference?
so there's and it's interesting you say
Eidetic
that.
is like remembering the information. Photographic is literally even images
Yeah,
as well.
I feel like it's a mix of both. Like,
that's fair. That's fair.
He told me one time when he was younger that he had files in his brain. And I said, what do you mean? And he's like, I have different files in my brain.
that was a
where-"
joke.
But I thought you were being serious.
She's like, I've been holding on to that.
I have been holding on to that because he was explaining it. And I was like, that makes sense because there's a lot that you throw away. Maybe I've just, the older I get, the less capacity I have for files in mine. But
I feel that.
yeah. Yeah.
All right. So last question. If you could have dinner with any 3 people, dead or alive, who would that be?
3 people.
That's the one I saw.
I would have, my sister passed away from breast cancer in 2013. So I would definitely want to have dinner with her just because I miss my sister.
Absolutely.
3 people. Prince, because I loved Prince and I never got to go to a Prince concert.
That'd be an interesting dinner for sure.
You did get to see Prince?
I never got to see him. Yeah.
You never got to see him.
Yeah. And I've always been a big concert person. So I just never made it to Prince and he was my favorite. So I would say Prince.
Good taste.
And I think, in the current time, I would like to sit down with Barack Obama.
Okay. That's
For
fair.
sure.
You're not the only one that's asked.
Yeah.
Cole, you have 3 that you'd like to have dinner with?
I think I'd go Abraham Lincoln. I'm gonna go all presidents here.
Okay.
I'm gonna go Abraham Lincoln, Teddy Roosevelt, and then the last one. I think I'd go George Washington.
Okay.
So I got to add to that. What would you serve them? Because if you gave Abraham Lincoln and George Washington a slice of pizza, they would be like, "What in the heavens? What is this?"
You would say this is glorious.
Yeah.
A lot of people didn't know this. True fact. Theodore Roosevelt ate with his mouth open. I'm kidding. That's a joke. I don't want anybody to go look that up because
I was like, folks never mentioned that one, but that doesn't sound. Yeah.
Teddy.
Listen,
Teddy
if George
was all
Washington
about
had
the
a
turkey
slice
legs.
of pizza, he would have had some revisions for the Constitution.
Yeah.
He didn't write it, but he'd be like, let's add pizza in there, at least somewhere.
That'd also be interesting because they didn't have toothbrushes in that time. So like in these images, they're not smiling. So then you'd see their actual teeth, and you'd be like,
They're just chewing on sticks before picture day.
yeah.
Oh boy.
I'd give them a toothbrush.
It's
I'm
like
like, you should
every
use
B-roll on Survivor.
I'd
It's
give him a
like, 'cause
toothbrush. Yeah.
every time Survivor cuts to B-roll of conversations, they got somebody picking stuff out
Can
of their
you
teeth.
imagine? They had to have something, but there had to be like a just furious mouth washing going on, like
Oh
to the
my
river.
gosh.
Just a cup, just like, it's in there. I ate a steak.
And
What a
that's
mistake
why
I made.
and that's why we should keep fluoride in the water system.
We should,
That's
yeah.
ultimately it's to prevent that. Well,
Yeah, back then they just hoped they were upstream.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going to take the fluoride out of the water. That doesn't seem like a good idea.
Well,
Well, it
Lori,
calcifies your third eye, according to RFK.
it's the craziest stuff.
It so is.
Well, Lori and Cole, it has been an absolute pleasure. We are
Absolutely.
really glad that you
Thank you.
joined us. But before we let you go, I do have one gift to Cole, and I'm hoping you see it as a gift. You're 14 years old. You live with
Yeah.
your parents, obviously. I mean, they're not going to kick you out this soon. The emotions that you had after the election results, I wanted to give you the opportunity to swear, and we'll put it on timer. So for 30 seconds, Cole, as loud as you want to be in reflection of the election outcome, please,
How you felt about it.
when you're ready.
You dumb. You stupid pieces of shit. You kicked him out once, and you couldn't give it to us again. I didn't ask for this dumb to be back again.
Cole, that last one was over 30 seconds. That one counts. Mom, you're allowed to grab one.
Thank you.
Well said. Well said.
that was cathartic for me as well.
Yeah.
I
We're going to put it
I
in
felt-
stone.
I felt every single piece of it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Look, it has been an absolute pleasure, and I Cole, anytime you guys want to come on and say anything, if you've got
Yeah.
anything to say, please, we will be the buffer to the stupid
Yeah.
that's
For
out
sure.
there, because we relate with a lot of them.
Yeah.
Anything else you guys want to say before we check out?
I just want to say
Awesome.
we appreciate it, and we've gotten to connect with a lot of great people like
Yeah.
you guys because of his video going viral. So we talked
Awesome.
a little bit about the negative, but overall the response was
Yeah,
so
whoa.
positive.
Like
That's
way past the negative.
Yeah,
That's
he
awesome.
loved reading the comments. He loved the support. We loved that you supported us, Barrett, and reached out, and
Yeah.
we can't say thank you enough.
No, it's been our absolute pleasure,
Yeah.
and I will speak for Zach on that because he doesn't.
Oh.
I may cut him off. But no, it's absolutely it's been our pleasure because honestly, I think it's gonna take the youth. It's gonna take the generation that is coming of age, and that's really what it's gonna take to really right the ship on this one.
Yes.
Because I got too many dumb friends, and
Yes. We all have some of those.
they're dragging us down.
Yeah.
We're all
And
drowning.
relatives. It's just
We're all
weird.
drowning. They're just trying to make us first, is what's
Yeah.
going on.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
All right, that is going to do it for episode number 232. I want to thank you again, Cole, Lori, for being on. Zach, these are clearly your cousins. So
Probably. I'll
you
take
can-
it.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't either.
Links to past episodes, podcast platforms, and merchandise, social media are all available at our webpage, theallaboutnothing.com. And if you think our financial model of giving away free content and entertainment is silly and you're getting the giving mood, why not become an official Nothinger and support the show monthly? Members get early access to this episode as well as exclusive content, or you can make a one-time donation through the same link. If you'd like to be a part of the show, you can call and leave us a message, 803-672-0533, or you can email the show at theallaboutnothing.com, or you can join our Discord server. Links available at theallaboutnothing.com. Thank you very much, everybody, for listening. You all stay safe, be kind, and
Keep your hands to yourself.
The All About Nothing podcast is produced and engineered by me, Barrett Gruber. Thanks to Cake for our intro music, Sick of You. You can follow everything Cake the band at cakemusic.com. Thanks to Muff the producer for our outro music. You can follow Muff on Instagram at Muff the producer. I am Barrett Gruber. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Barrett Gruber, or visit my linktree /Barrett Gruber. Want to support the show? Visit our webpage, theallaboutnothing.com, and become a member. There are several tiers available, including memberships that give you early access to episodes as well as exclusive content. Visit theallaboutnothing.com. To find links to our social media, merchandise, and past episodes, visit theallaboutnothing.com. If you'd like to be heard on the show, you can call and leave us a message. Dial 803-672-0533. If the time between these episodes is more than you can handle, check out our partner podcast. Zach and I host What the Pod Was That with Carrie Simmons. Visit whatthepodwasthat.com for links and details. Me takes a deep dive down the rabbit hole in episodes of Welcome to Wonderland. Available on all the podcast platforms. Visit WTWLpod.com for details. As well, you can listen to the political and social conversation between Dr. Jamela Brooks and Bill Himmler on Black, White, and Blue in the South. Available wherever you listen to podcasts. Please subscribe and share this show. If you're on YouTube, please like and hit the notification bell. Thank you for listening. The preceding podcast is a product of Big Media and copyright 2024, all rights reserved.